So the meeting agenda, they knew the chair, well, I'm not going to call out. She was there for 2-3 months. She needs to move on with her life. But the Board of Education, the majority of them knew that there was going to be a lot of people to speak on a very hot topic. And that was the proposed health education standard guidelines. If you're here to find out if it was approved or not, I'll let you know. It was approved yesterday. But the way it was made, you know what they say? If you ever watch somebody make sausages, you'll never eat a sausage again. I watched them make the sausage yesterday. My God, it was ugly, ugly. Shame on you guys, shame on you guys, shame on you guys. And I'm not taking my personal space to say that. I said that to their face yesterday at the table. So they loaded up the agenda, playbook out of Dr. Glenn Maleko's, a play out of Dr. Glenn Maleko's playbook when something hot was coming. They loaded up the agenda with a presentation of the Michigan Blue Ribbon School Recognition. Presentation on the Michigan's top 10 strategic education plan goal. Presentation on literacy updates. Presentation by the Michigan Teacher of the Year, regional teacher. God bless our teachers. But the first 4 items took out most of the meeting, and probably hundreds of people showed up because their loved ones was being recognized at the state level. What did that create? Create a little chaos if you wanted to get into the meeting room. And guess what? When you talk about something as important as sex education in public schools, you're going to touch people, and people are going to come to you, and you should hear from them. Senator Bullock, I hope this message gets delivered to you. I hope this message. The first time I shook your hand, I knew you were a politician. I'll leave that there right now. So after they went through the agenda, then they started talking about how they were going to let citizen participate, how they were going to handle citizen participation. Citizen participation is, there was like probably close to 100 people that wanted to address the board on a very touchy subject. There was people pro sex education in public schools, a lot of them. I'll get to that in a minute. I met some of them in the holding room. And there were some people to voice their opinions against. And as an elected official, as an elected board, you're supposed to listen to constituents. I got deprived out of my 3 minutes yesterday. When I had the gavel, I didn't hold anybody to that 3-minute mark. I had the gavel in my hand 3 times. We always shut the clock off, and people respected me and respected the board and kept their comments to 3 minutes or less. They went over a few seconds. Hey, it's not the end of the day. But I heard from everybody. There was meetings that lasted 3 hours, 4 hours. But you know what? We chose. We campaigned. We ran a campaign. We got elected to office. And we chose to sit in those seats. Senator Bullock, shame on you. You sit in that seat to listen to me personally and the other 100 people that were there. What you pulled yesterday was garbage, my friend, garbage. So they decided illegally, I've already had a couple people from the state level reach out to me and explain to them that when you put a motion on a table, before you can even discuss the motion, it has to be supported. It means it has to be seconded. There was a motion that was put on the table to cut the time for citizen participation to 1.5 minutes. That was done by the president of the board, Dr. Pugh. And she went along with Bullock's plan, but that's a whole different story. I did say yesterday, I'm ashamed to call you guys former colleagues. I was not referring to Nikki or Tom, or maybe there was a couple other board members that, probably didn't agree, but when Senator Bullock speaks, everybody has to listen. Okay, so before the motion was supported, there was a friendly amendment, friendly amendment to the motion by Senator Bullock to cut it to 1 minute. And they passed it 6-2. Motion wasn't supported, was amended, and voted on illegally, as far as I know, according to the rules. But we'll find out if their vote to pass these standards was even legal yesterday. We'll get to that. There's going to be lawsuits. I will be suing. A lot of the associations that show up yesterday will be suing, questioning if they did was legal or not. So when they finally started letting people speak, I was watching Senator Bullock. Instead of paying attention, he was playing with his phone. He was getting up and having side conversations. That's a lot of respect. And if you don't believe me, I will post a link on YouTube where you can watch the meeting and watch this guy. You had hundreds of people that showed up to address you that drove anywhere from an hour and a half, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. I met a gentleman, a grandpa yesterday, a grandfather, that drove 3.5 hours to be at that meeting. We'll talk about Jeff, the grandfather, in a minute. So who is Lizzy? You're going to find out who Lizzy is. I'm going to introduce you to Lizzy in a minute. I ended up, instead of reading my comments and speed, nobody, you look like a moron trying to read 3 minutes of information in like 55 seconds so they don't cut you off. I didn't want to do that. I did something different. I went up there, addressed them, I said, what you did is illegal, it was wrong, shouldn't have done it. Then I said I was ashamed of you and walked away. Standing ovation, everybody in the room in the gallery stood up, started clapping for me. I think these people, I saw a video, somebody's questioning the Board of Education saying, who do you think you are to do this? Who do you think you are? And now I know why they were addressed that way. What I wanted to say, this is my space right here. Nobody's going to put a time limit on me here. But what I wanted to say is, hello, my name is Hussein Berry. For most of my adult life, I have been involved with Dearborn School Board as a student and a parent advocate, almost a quarter century. For the past 2 decades, I served as a trustee for Dearborn Public Schools. A couple months ago, I resigned. What is best for all students? All students was a major factor in every decision that I made. And we'll get to that a little bit. I'll clear up what I just said in a minute. I put my religious beliefs and my personal values aside in order to serve my district to the best of my ability. I am not here to ask you, now again, remind you, this is what I was going to say addressing the State Board of Education. I am not here to ask you, who do you think you are? I've seen the videos and I'm sure you did too. I am not here to scream at you or use foul language that I heard during the book issues in Dearborn. I am sure that you've seen those videos too. I am here to ask you politely to put political divides on the side. The zero-sum theory in politics today is not working, and it is destroying our society at every level. I'm not going to spend too much time explaining that one. Everybody knows what we're going through. I am going to share a story with you about Lizzy. The story is real. The name is not. I'm going to hold off this part until I finish what I was going to read. For over 2 decades, enrollment was on the rise in Dearborn Public Schools. So actually, it was 22 or 23 years. Every year, we got our report, enrollment's up, enrollment's up, enrollment's up, 200 students, enrollment. For 23 years, enrollment was up. Since the book issues, it's been on the decline. We lost 55 incoming high schoolers just at one school the following fall. The next year, that number became hundreds. And this is, obviously, I was going to read it to them before they passed the proposed standards, but the current proposed standards will cost Dearborn Public Schools thousands of students, and that's not an exaggerated number. I know what I'm talking about. That's all I wanted to say. Now I was going to say, let's do better for Lizzy. So who is Lizzy? A couple weeks ago, I went to my doctor's office for a regular checkup. A young lady came in the room. Mr. Berry, how much do you weigh? How tall are you? Then she came and put that thing around my finger to check my pulse and did my blood pressure, check my blood pressure. You know what? I probably don't want to check my blood pressure now, but my blood pressure was good. But just to break the awkwardness of a young lady younger than my students in the room, touching my arm, this and that, I would say she was probably more on the conservative side, just by just looking at her. I said, Amo, question for you. You're doing a great job. Where'd you get your training? She responded with, Henry Ford College. I said, yes, go Hawks. I'm humanizing this young lady. Instead of coming here dealing with this old man, I'm humanizing her. I said, okay. I can tell she calmed down. I followed up with another question. What high school did you attend? I wanted to find out if she attended Dearborn High Schools, because usually when somebody says, oh, I attended Etzel Ford or Dearborn, I'd say, oh, remember me? I handed you your diploma. She said, well, Mr. Berry, I did not attend a traditional high school. I was homeschooled. Right away, I said, oh, my God. I just found one of those 55 students that graduated from 8th grade and didn't show up at the high school. I don't know the high school she was supposed to attend. Just to make it short, the story is real. The name is not, for obvious reasons. Story is real. I had to ask some more questions. Okay, you didn't attend high school in person. Which one would you have told? Which one would you have attended if you did? She shared that with me. No need to disclose that here in this space. I said, what did you do? She said, well, I was homeschooled for a while. That wasn't working. Somebody in her house, this older sister, a mom, a father, somebody was homeschooling her, but she said that wasn't working. I just went and got my GED, then I took classes at Henry Ford College. and now, Lizzy should have been a junior this year. Class of 2026. That would make that 2027.
Yeah, 27.
Class of 2027. Thank you, Nofila. Somebody's paying attention.
You're welcome.
And my blood pressure is going up, but I'll be
I can
okay.
see it.
We're going to get the break soon, and I want to introduce everybody who Lizzy is. Let's do better for Lizzy. She was homeschooled. Didn't work out. She got her GED and went on and took some classes at Henry Ford College. God bless the programs at Henry Ford College. They do great things. And I'm okay with this young lady now working. I'm not gonna say minimum wage, but minimal wage. So minimum wage is a certain amount. Maybe she's making $20 an hour or $25 an hour. But then I asked a final question. I said, you don't need to disclose. You don't need to answer my final question unless you want to. If you had to do it all over again and it was your choice, I knew it wasn't her choice. You don't have to answer my question, Ammu, but if you had to do it all over again, would you do it the same way? She answered my question, not with words. She had a tear in her eye, walked out of the room. That's my Lizzy. True story. Name is not real. That's my Lizzy. The jacket. Oops, I don't want to get in trouble with that.
The jackets.
The jackets, yeah, the jackets. That voted to support this sex education as part of the health curriculum. It's a curriculum. You have to go through, you have to take health classes in order to graduate from high school. And I've already talked to a lot of people. They're like, well, Mr. Berry and Dearborn, we're good. We passed on sex education. Yeah, we did. And we are good. We are good. Under sex education, thank you, Stephanie Butler. Thank you, Crystal, my good friends. Thank you to the committee that we put together maybe 18 months ago. And there was a sheikh in the room, there was a pastor in the room, there was administrators, but the law says, sex education laws says 50% of the committee has to be a majority, meaning 50% or more of parents. Meaning that in your district, if you don't want sex education, you can say no thank you. They approved the plan, and Dearborn is good until 2028. Now, I feel that we have a board that's supportive of that. But if the board changes next year and they decide to, reconvene the committee and make changes, they can. Pay attention, parents. That could happen. Now, I can speak for Dearborn. That's where I spent most of my adult life. I can't speak for any of the surrounding districts. I don't know. But guess what? I promised my good friend Crystal that we're going to start doing some work. Yesterday, we took a punch. We took a sucker punch. But guess what? There's a couple more rounds left, at least in me and in this community. Senator Bullock cut my 3 minutes to 1 minute because this was going to take too long. You meet once a month. Yes, I understand there's committee meetings and other work. You meet once a month. You can't sit there and take breaks in between for a few hours to listen to what people have to say. You're in a hurry to get home to play with your video games or whatever the heck it is you play with when you get home. Are you kidding me? Shame on you. Lizzy probably told me more than she wanted to tell me when I saw that tear. Lizzy's probably going to get stuck in a job working for a doctor when her dreams might have been to become a doctor. But because of the book situation and, how it was played and some of the stuff that were in the books, somebody made a decision for a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old. You're done in public schools. You're being homeschooled. Probably couldn't afford, let's be real here. A lot of the kids are getting pulled out of public schools or going to private schools. Not every parent is in position to dish out $12,000, $15,000, $32,000 for a private school. So they were advised, or probably your parents. This is assumption on my part, but like I said, that tear told me a lot. Baba and Mama said, no more public schools for you. بتضلك بالبيت. And we're going to do this homeschooling thing. I heard about it. My friend does it for her kids. And again, this is assumption on my part, but guess what? I'm probably right. ضلك بالبيت ونحن بنعلمك. That wasn't working out. Took some classes. She's able to, do blood pressure. She's able to test pulse. Later on, she might take some more classes, and I'm hoping to God, and I know who this young lady is, I hope to God, I'm going to ask her father or her brother or her mother permission from them to allow me to talk to her. I want her to pursue her education. I will raise money for her to pursue her education. We can do better for Lizzy. Let's all of us do better for Lizzy. Now, let me go back to the holding room. So, all my friends that tuned in, and I am getting text messages, thank you. Now you know who Lizzy is. And I'm going to fight for Lizzy, and I want you to join me in that fight. So now you can go back to work. You can stay listening to CINA Radio. Whatever it is, I said I'd do it in 10 minutes. I'm sorry, it's a little bit 20 minutes now into this. But I'm going to continue talking about yesterday. When I filled out the sheet to speak to the Board of Education, I was told that there was already 25 people ahead of me, which I was like, very happy to hear. Again, it doesn't matter what side you're on. At least there was people there to share their information, to share their beliefs or how they felt about these new standards. Just for the record, I spoke with one of the school board members and said, no, Dearborn is not safe. Because now the art teacher, the social study teacher, is empowered to somehow, some way, to introduce whatever he or she believes, whatever he or she is comfortable with, to introduce some of this sex education that was passed yesterday. Parents, pay attention. Parents, pay attention. We still got some work to do. Let's go back to the holding room. where I met Jeff, grandfather of 18. He drove 3.5 hours from Northwest Michigan, if I remember right, to come to this meeting. He brought his 10-year-old grandson. What I learned about Jeff is he has 18 grandkids. His 10 oldest were homeschooled. For whatever reason, in the past decade, Jeff and his family made a decision that my grandkids are going to get homeschooled. I'm not putting up with what is going on in public schools. 18 grandkids, I don't care if you hit the lotto, it's going to be, well, if you hit the lotto, it's a different story. Yeah, my blood pressure's coming down.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you have a lot of money and you can send your 18 grandkids to private school, God bless you. But he and his family homeschooled the 10 older ones. I'm thinking to myself, okay, but you have a 10-year-old here with you. Why are you like even, you know what's going to be discussed today? Why are you here? I didn't ask him that, but he followed up. This little guy right here is my man. He's my guy. They are not going to be able to reach him. I heard that loud and clear. He's staying in public schools. He's going to take advantage of all the opportunities that he's going to have in public schools. That was Grandpa's guy. And I know what he meant. He's going to, the 10-year-old's going to push back when somebody tries to talk about this or that or introduce this or that. This kid, the 11th grandchild of Jeff's, he's not, I almost said ain't, he's not allowing anybody. So Jeff, God bless him, brought the 10-year-old grandson with him to show him where the sausage is made. That was my first state board of education meeting. 6 Democrats, 2 Republicans. 6 Democrats, 2 Republicans. The Democrats, all 6 of them voted to limit the time to 1 minute. And I know how that works. To some of my former colleagues, I'm not going to say all of them, I'm ashamed of, to some of them, I know when you get bullied, when you're part of the majority and you listen. I know how that works. The 6 Democrats, we live in a country where it's democracy. It's the people. We the people. You have to listen to us. Just because you have 2 Republicans that really can't slow you down doesn't mean you ram it down their throat like you've been doing. Nikki, Crystal's listening, she will deliver this message. Thank you and God bless you. Tom does a good job, but you're my hero these days. Let's go back to the holding room. Jeff, the grandfather, looked around and said, and he did say Hussein. He didn't say Mr. Berry. He didn't say my friend. He says Hussein. I think we're outnumbered in this room. I'm like, what the heck is he talking about? We just work here. He got up, grabbed his grandson's hand, and left the room. Then I started looking around and hearing the word lesbian, hearing the word I'm queer. One gentleman, or I don't know. You know what? I'll just say gentleman because that's my first impression that it was a gentleman. I'm sorry? Oh, no, I'm going to get to it.
Okay.
I'm going to get to it. No, I'm going to clean it up. I'm not going to get in trouble with Brenna.
Okay.
I'm not going to get in trouble. One gentleman stood up and said, I'm transgender and I got 2 children that are trans. And anyways, I'm not going to try to understand, but he was there in support. A few minutes later, there was a lady that came in. Then this new word that I'm starting to see all over, binary. Nofila, that's usually the one, I usually have to say, hey, honey, tone it down a little bit. Just tell me to tone it down. I made a statement in the beginning here that I made decisions on behalf of all students in my district. Did I make decisions because we had a transgender student in our schools? Of course I did. That was a discussion between my superintendent, my colleagues, and myself, and the parents. And if the parents were happy with what we decided to do for their child, I was happy. Do we have members of the LGBT community in our district?
Yeah.
Of course we do. But guess what? In every district, I was always for anti-bullying, anti-harassment for all of my students, not just some of them. Again, I ask, who's looking out for Lizzy? Obviously, it wasn't the Board of Education yesterday. So go back to that holding room. Somebody walked in the room. Somebody sponsored. I remember it was Panera. Somebody, I made sure I took my medication, trying to keep my blood pressure in a good place and my diabetes reading in a good place. Somebody brought in food to this room. Nobody else got food except in this room. And they did say who sponsored the food. It was an association that knew who was going to be in that room. A lady came in the room, pulled her phone out, and said, "Hey, let's take a group picture." I think if Jeff was still in the room, he would have ran out of that room. Everybody in that room stood up and went to the corner of the room for a group picture except myself. I kind of started scooting my chair over to my left to the corner, so I definitely didn't want to be in that picture. But guess what? I stayed in that room. I didn't feel awkward. What people do in their bedrooms, they have the right to do so. I don't judge them. They'll be judged by their creator. Who people decide to love, I don't judge them. They'll be judged by their creator. Nobody should have that kind of power to judge other people. So yes, for 18 years on the school board and 25 years involved, and 40 years serving this community, do I have friends that have sons that came out? Do I have friends that are from the lesbian community? I do. I know. I don't go there. That's their personal business. I always say, when I'm asked this question, I always say, the document. Some people get it, some don't, so let me elaborate. The document, I'm referring to the U.S. Constitution, that gives me, Hussein Berry, to point my prayer rod whatever direction I choose to, is the same document that protects all of the people in the U.S. I don't have the power to change the laws. I can become part of changing laws if I'm not happy with them. So if you're not happy with the laws, you're not happy with policies, guess what, people? Get involved. Get involved. I didn't feel uncomfortable. I have to just now think about it. There was people that were saying, "This is who I am. This is what I am. This is." They were talking among each other. They turned. There was a screen in there telling us it was a live feed of the school board meeting. They turned the volume down. I opened it up on my phone because I was paying attention to what was going on. They were having their own meeting discussions. I heard a lot of stuff that I don't want discussed with my grandkids. I don't want discussed in our public schools. Those discussions should be happening at home. Senator Bullock, I'm going to go ahead and ask you. I wish to God I can remember that the state representative that called you out and said, "Who do you think you are?" You were playing around with numbers yesterday, my friend. Nobody understands numbers better than I do. I'm the master in that department. You were playing around with numbers. For what? Trying to prove a point? Trying to shut down Nikki when she was trying to speak? That was just so wrong. And just for the record, Senator Bullock, whatever his name is, and I met 12, 13 years ago. I was running for a campaign. Somebody said, you need to talk to this person. I actually didn't just talk to him. I bought him lunch, and guess what? I never called him again because it was very obvious that he was a district manager, just a district manager in District 7. It was very obvious that this is a guy that's going to be a career politician. And he's doing a good job, that department. With what he did yesterday, he's probably going to get a tap on the shoulder, maybe to run for something in higher office. I'll be there, buddy. I'll be there. What you did was wrong yesterday. You not only bullied Nikki a lot and Tom a little bit, you also bullied your colleagues, my former colleagues, that voted with you. They don't want to challenge you. Even Dr. Pugh, who, by the way, is running for Senate as a Democrat next year. I don't remember what area. She was willing to compromise at minute and a half. She had a discussion with, those are her words, not mine. She had a discussion with Tom, who she knew was going to oppose cutting the time. And she offered a motion of a minute and a half. Minute and a half, you can kind of, okay, I don't need to talk about this. I need to talk about that. I can get my message out. But you even bullied her to side with you and cutting it down to a minute. It was so wrong. So wrong. Let's do better for Lizzy. Ahmed, if you're listening, Mubarak, if you're listening, Brother Adil, if you're listening, many other friends that I reached out to this morning, let's all do better for Lizzy. I received a phone call today from somebody that I haven't met in person yet. Met a lot of good people yesterday in Lansing. I received a phone call. A young lady by the name of Amy Hawkins shared some information with me before yesterday going to a meeting. She knew that I was going to be speaking about this on the air today. I don't believe, I know she's, I don't want to disclose any personal information for her, but I don't believe that she's going to be listening to this, but I'm sure she'll get this message. Amy, thank you for the phone call. You kind of empowered me to come in here and do exactly what I do. I didn't back off. It's 12:39 right now. What do you think? Ready for a break? Let's take a break, Rana. Thank you. Welcome back to You Need to Know with Hussein and Nofila.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome, welcome. Yeah, my blood pressure is a little bit lower now, I think. And let's sell some houses, Nofila.
Yeah,
what
let's
do you think?
talk real estate a little bit. Okay, yeah, let's lower the temperature a little bit. Go ahead.
Let's do better for Lizzy.
Absolutely.
Let's sell some real estate. Noma Realty Group, broker owner, Nofila Haidar. Faddali.
All right. Before we hop into that, I want to introduce, and this is another one of our clients, just signed a lease. I want you all to look for Mano Florist in Dearborn Heights in the next couple of months. Jafar Joe Osman is a client that we met last year. He comes from New York, the state of fashion and style and design, and he is one of the best floral design people I have met in a long time. I've seen some of his work. It's very unique. He puts out good quality flower. He actually did an event for us, and I took the roses out of the event. He did the tools engagement, and I took the roses from the party and I put them on our mantle for 3.5 weeks, and those flowers didn't start to wilt for 3 weeks. They sat on our mantle. So I'm really, really looking forward to Mano Florist in Dearborn Heights on Warren. We'll be putting out some more information by the time he gets to open up. He's an honest person, incredible floral designer, and can't wait to see his work. Okay, now moving forward.
For Nofila to be impressed.
I'm very impressed.
And the way you say the best you've seen, because you've seen a lot of good.
I've seen a lot of flowers.
Today's show is sponsored by Ali Berry from Village Ford.
Yeah.
313-727-1093. Ali Berry, Village Ford, 313-727-1093. And I thank all my friends and all the people that listen to this show and call Ali. And I just heard Cheo Cacciatore said hello. He always delivered messages. He said
Yeah.
Lucy says hello.
Lucy, yeah.
Many of our friends. Thank you for supporting Ali Berry.
Yes, thank you.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you. Okay, so real estate this week, it's so interesting to me because the number of listings in Dearborn and Dearborn Heights is holding steady at about 150 for sale and between 57 and 56 for rent in both cities. And what's happening is these are not the same listings. So, for example, the sale listings, it was about, I think, 154 last week. This week it's 150 in Dearborn, and 20 of those listings are new. So that means 20 homes sold, in the last week, either closed or pending. And with rentals, 9 homes closed, and then 9 others replaced them. Same thing in Dearborn Heights. They're at 112 for sale listings, and 12 of them are new. And 56 rentals, and 14 of them are new. So I think rentals in Dearborn Heights are moving a little faster.
So what Nofila is referring to is what we call in our industry inventory.
Yeah.
So meaning last week is at 154. Sounds like at least 20 houses sold, but then there was new listings. So Nofila, I can share with you that when you go to share these numbers with you, I'm going to share with you why these numbers are going to go down, start going down. Because the federal housing programs are to resume now. Since the government's, we're not going to get why the government shut down, why it came back,
We're not getting political, right?
But how does it affect our industry?
Yeah.
Federal housing programs will be back online as soon as President Trump signs the bill. So this is a couple of days old. The bill is already signed. I'm going to quote Shannon McGam, Chief Advocacy Officer for NAR. NAR is the National Association of Realtors. This is the association that we all of us realtors belong to. Members across the country have reported stalled FHA. We reported on that the last couple of weeks.
We did, yeah.
VA and other loans, as well halted new flood insurance policies. I didn't see that. With Mishta closing,
No.
they weren't providing flood insurance policies. I didn't see it. I didn't talk about that. But we talked about FHA and VA, creating real economic harm that rippled through local economies each day that the shutdown continued. And I just seen some kind of number here that real estate is 20%. Real estate is 20%. Now, it's not just selling and buying real estate. It's the title companies, it's the mortgages, it's the insurance companies, 20% of the U.S. GDP. So every day that was shut down was a negative impact on the whole economy. This agreement brings programs critical to housing back online and is welcome news for Americans whose home purchases and insurance renewals have been delayed or derailed over the past several weeks. Says Shannon McGam, and I've already introduced that person as Chief Advocacy Officer. But what does that mean? We're going to sell more houses.
I'd like that.
Yeah, inventory is going to go down.
Right.
So, and with all this good news coming out, I think with confidence levels going to go up, and they're still discussing about lowering the interest rate.
Yeah.
So, long time ago when I started with this business, I'm going to give up my age, not my good friend's age, Davey Howski. One of my first mentors in this business. Great person. Started with Century 21 and ended her career with Century 21. That is loyalty. And you know how I feel about loyalty.
Of course.
Thank you for the text messages, but I'll get to them in a second. She posted, marry the house, date the rate.
Okay.
A couple of days ago, and I saw it. I shared that. I shared that on my Facebook and gave Davey, my
marry
cousin,
the house, date the
marry
rate.
the house, date the rate.
No. Oh, we can't take the call right now.
Let me just finish right now.
Yeah, we'll take a call after. Yeah.
So I shared it and I called her cousin is for a good reason. For a good reason. When I first needed a paper, I think it was 94, 95. I needed a paper notarized. She notarized it for me. And I found out that her maiden name is Berry. So that's been the inside joke.
Oh, wow.
She's Berry from the other side of Europe. I'm Berry from Asia.
Yeah.
But I started referring to her as cousin, and it's stuck. She was just recognized. She was just recognized by Daybor. And I called her cousin. She smiled at me, that beautiful smile of hers. What does that mean? Marry the house, but date the rate. We just sold a house that the owners bought like in the mid-'80s. Paid like $80-some thousand for it. And they paid off their mortgage probably within 10 years. And just sold their house for $550,000. No capital gains there. The older generation, with all due respect, the houses they bought lived in them forever. So what does marry the house, date the rate mean to me? People. It's always a good time to buy the house.
Of course.
And I know you can't find a house right now that's $85,000 or $70,000. When we bought our first house in this country, it was like $21,000.
That's a nice amount.
I know that doesn't exist, but it's always a good time to jump into home ownership. Marry the house, date the rate. Meaning rates go up and down. So right now I've seen them as low as 5.9. I closed one at 8.2. You can always refinance. So if you close at 6.5, there's a threshold where it's worth it for you to refinance and recoup the refinance cost within 3 months. Then after 3 months, you're ahead of the game. If you have any questions on what I just talked about, because I hear there's a hot phone call that I have to take. If you have any questions, you want me to follow up on this, please contact us. Nova Realty Group, Nofila Haidar, 313-443-7443. My phone number is 313-580-8007. And you're welcome to call us during the show on the air. CINA Radio is 313-769-6666. And go ahead, caller. Oh, hi, Diva. How are you? صدق مين في صوتك يا عفاف مين في صوتك just I want to disclose Alfab, we are doing a YouTube
Facebook Live, YouTube Live.
People won't be able to hear your questions.
So we're going to repeat your question. Go ahead.
How much time do we have? 4 minutes?
4 minutes.
So one of the questions was, Dr. Glenn Maleko was hired as state superintendent. Her question was, is that a good thing or a bad thing for a parent? Dr. Maleko did a great job in Dearborn. That's why he was elevated to the state level. Nobody understands Dearborn more than Dr. Maleko. I'm going to answer that question first, and if we can get to the other part, which we've been discussing for a while, but Dr. Maleko is not the state superintendent. He starts next month. He's currently still serving Dearborn, doing a great job as Dearborn's superintendent. He starts next month, so he was not part of the decision making yesterday. We will reach out to him as soon as he starts, and let him know how we feel and what can we do to kind of like help the local districts deal with what was just passed. I don't think we can reverse what was just passed. I know there's going to be lawsuits for me and many others to try to slow things down. And hey, let's be careful. So I hope I answered your question. Dr. Maleko is, parent friendly. Yes, yeah, he listens to parents. Now he has to deal with the same board in Lansing, same board that's 6'2", lopsided board, 6'2". Those are his bosses. So it's not going to be what Dr. Maleko believes is right or wrong. He has a boss, eight people. called the State Board of Education. He is kind of have to take directives from them. Nofila, her first question was sellers or buyers market, real quick.
It's real steady right now because the interest rates are good. They're between 5.9 and 6.9, depending on what you qualify for.
Yeah.
And then it's winter, so not a lot of people are rushing to buy, and not a lot of people are really rushing to sell because of the weather.
And the other question that is switched from one side to the other, I think we all can agree that it's been
steady.
A seller's market or a buyer's
Yeah.
market. I've talked about this before. It's a complicated market. In order to get help, reach out to the professionals. And there's two of them sitting right here. Nofila and myself.
Yeah.
313-580-8007. 313-443-7443. We're running out of time, and Run is ready to pull the plug on us. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Weekend.
To be continued. Let's do better for Lizzy.